Welcome to the Daughter Arise channel. My name is Yvonne and this channel is all about bringing you content about childhood sexual abuse. On this channel I share things to do with my experience of going through this childhood trauma, and I also share news stories and add my thoughts and commentary to them. And also as well, from time to time I interview other survivors and their supporters in hopes of raising awareness of this childhood trauma. So if this is the type of content that you're looking for, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can be notified of any new uploads. And if you do like the content, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. So in today's video guys, I want to share a review of a film I recently watched called The Sound of Freedom. Now I don't know if any of you have managed to see anything to do with this film. In America it stirred up quite a bit of controversy because of the subject matter. Sound of Freedom is a film that follows a Homeland Security agent who goes on to try and rescue two children who are trafficked for sexual abuse. And the controversy around this film was that, you know, a lot of people were trying to challenge and block this film. This film was actually made 5 years ago, but none of the distributing film houses or anything wanted to touch this film. I don't know why, but it seems like it hit kind of a raw nerve with a lot of people high up in organisations, because really the film is highlighting paedophilia. It's also highlighting those that consume paedophilic material and those who buy children for the sole purpose of using them for sex. Yesterday afternoon I took myself to go and see this film. I had been trying to find out when to see this film for ages. I mean, it got released I think in maybe July, June over in America. There was no release date for over here, and even in booking the ticket to go and see the film, this film really is only out for 2 weeks. I've never in, you know, my history of going and see films, seeing a film that's out for such a short period of time. And, you know, again, it just kind of makes me suspicious as to why there is so many obstacles up against this film. You would think that, you know, it's about children who are being trafficked by paedophiles all across the world, being sold into child sex slavery for the sole use of being used for the sexual gratification of paedophiles. You would think that, you know, people would be on board and behind this film. But as I said in the beginning, the controversy to get this film out to the public has been something that has been really difficult. But to a lot of people's surprise, the film Sound of Freedom did very, very well in America. Loads of people went to see it. I saw loads of people, you know, out and about going to see this film, spreading the word, because, you know, they didn't have a big marketing budget behind them. You know, there wasn't a lot of kind of official financial sponsors behind this film. I went to see the film yesterday, Tuesday afternoon, the 12th of September, and there was only like 4 or 5 of us in the cinema. And I just want to say here, if you haven't seen the film and you're planning to see it, you know, you might want to wait until after you've seen the film to watch this, because I am probably going to reveal some things from the film that you might consider spoilers. So right from the beginning of the film, you know, it goes in at the deep end. It shows real footage at the beginning of children being snatched off the street by people on motorbikes, like you'd have the driver of the motorbike and the passenger who will grab the child. There were images of children, you know, men jumping out of vans and just snatching children off the street, and the children, like, you know, fighting and struggling, you know, so they wouldn't get taken. I found it very, very upsetting. There was one particular image where there was a mother who obviously was homeless and she was sleeping with their newborn baby out on the street, and this person just came around the corner, snatched the baby and walked off with the baby. And you know, I was just absolutely so upset to see this. And, you know, I've always known about child trafficking and the kind of repercussions, what it means for children. You know, as somebody that has gone through childhood sexual abuse, you know, my heart really did feel overwhelmed with heartbreak to see what was happening to these children. So there was no doubt from the beginning of this film, you know, that what we were witnessing was things that were happening in real life. And this story is based on the experiences of a Homeland officer, I'm not sure if that's the correct name, named Tim Ballard. And this film is based on one of his experiences, actually. So the story centres on 2 children, a brother and sister. They live with their father. The girl, you know, and the boy is so cute. You know, I think the girl's like about 9, the boy's about 5 or 6. They live in a poor part of town. But she has aspirations. She wants to be a singer, she wants to be a model and stuff like that. And this woman, who is obviously a child trafficker, like somebody that wheels them in, must have seen her out in town with her father and her brother a few days or weeks before, turns up at the father's door and kind of promises him the world, saying that, the woman was saying, we want her to do some model shots, some talent shots, because we have people interested in her, in her talent and stuff. And obviously the little girl's over the moon. The little boy was like, not really bothered. But, the child trafficker obviously sees the little boy as well and realises that he probably would be some use to these nasty, dirty paedophiles, and says, bring your son along as well so we can take some pictures. And you can see there was something really sinister about her. He drops off the son and daughter to like a hotel place. There's other young children in there. He wanted to stay, but she said no stage dads. This child trafficker was saying no stage dads can stay. Basically, she was taking all kinds of pictures of them, putting lipstick on their lips, the girls' lips, opening up the top of their shirts. It really was just kind of really sickening to see. And by the time evening comes, the time she gave the father to come back, the children are gone. All the children are gone. What happens then is that obviously he's distressed, he's distraught, he doesn't know what to do. And then obviously the child traffickers have now bundled all these children into a dark van to ship them out of the country. They're put into a shipping container, and obviously these children are terrified and scared. So it was very understandable. By the time that the traffickers opened the container, the children had really shit themselves, excuse my French, but they were terrified, they were traumatized, they didn't know what was happening to them. And the film just got really, really dark. It then shows the story of this paedophile who is uploading images to the rest of his paedophile mates in order to kind of get inside his head. Jim Caviezel, who plays the Homeland officer, who is kind of like the central actor in this film, who goes on to try and rescue, these children. It shows him trying to get inside this particular paedophile's head because they arrested him. They found books and books of his images of children that he collected. And yes, I know it may not be a Christian thing to say, but they disgust me. This film really was a chance for anybody who doesn't know really what a paedophile is about to see them up and close and personal. Their behaviour, their lack of compassion for the children that they abuse, their depraved lust for children, they are absolutely putrid. They are very tough-skinned, and they only kind of show their kind of emotions or whatever it is to their other paedophile mates. And this is where the story starts to pick up, because the little boy, which is the younger girl's brother, is one of the pictures that the agent comes across. And this paedophile knows he's going down for a long time, so this officer, obviously you can see, he absolutely detests this man, but he had to pretend to be like a paedophile, that he had these desires. And yeah, it was just really, really difficult and uncomfortable to watch. But, he had to get inside this guy's psyche so that he could find out about where some of these children were. He shows him the picture of the young boy, the one who had the sister, the younger brother. And basically, he was salivating at the fact of trying to get with this young boy. But anyway, this officer then goes and tries to find this young boy. And in the end, he does find him. He's examined by a doctor. He has lacerations in his anal area and he's traumatized. One touching scene was that he had his sister's kind of like a saint necklace, and they had one called Saint Timoteo, and this officer's name was Timothy. And this little boy took it as a sign that, he had come to rescue children. And yeah, it was a really, really touching scene. And when he was found at the borders. There's a lot of awareness being raised by people who work in Homeland Security and immigration in the USA. I remember watching a case even recently where this whistleblower was saying that child traffickers are trafficking children through the USA borders because the borders are so lax. And she was saying that things need to be done about it. She tried alerting and warning people, and people were turning a blind eye. It's hard but easy to understand why people would be turning a blind eye to child sex trafficking, especially one of the facts that was shared during the film was that 228 million child abuse images was downloaded over the past year, and that it's $150 billion industry. As a matter of fact, it was stated during this film that it is far more kind of valuable in terms more than drugs, because with a child from whatever age up until the age of 16 can be sold many times over. And I really felt like I was going to be sick on hearing that information. I just felt so bad. And you could see in the film, you know, that they didn't show any raping of children or anything like that, but they did show you enough to know that the next thing that was going to happen to the child would be rape. There was a scene with the sister where she was then sold to somebody, and this man came in a room, and you know, you hear the belt buckle getting undone, and he was drunk, and then the next thing you see was the curtains closing, and you know what was going to happen. So, you know, it was not hard to figure out what these paedophiles were doing. And one of the key phrases that kept coming up in the film, where it was rich, white, American men who are the most kind of largest consumer of child sexual abuse images and sexual abuse, trafficking children for sexual abuse. A lot of these dirty paedophiles, they go across the countries like Thailand, Colombia, all these countries to go and rape and abuse children. I don't for the life of me understand why, you know, this is still going on now. I remember doing a video back 2013, 2014 about, you know, an Australian senator, I think his name, I can't remember his name, but he was confiscating passports of paedophiles and really looking at legislation to do with the borders, because this is what they do. You know, they are so depraved. And don't get me wrong, it's not only old white rich CEOs and rich millionaires, white millionaires, that are doing the sexual abuse of children. As I've said on other videos, you know, there are paedophiles from all walks of life. One of the common group of paedophiles that people don't really talk about is black and Asian paedophiles. But in terms of what was shared during this film, they said that they are the biggest consumers. They are the ones that will go abroad and, you know, do all the different things to try and rape and sexually abuse children and buy children. And it just makes me think about the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, you know, his little island, because in this film, that's why I thought about it. One of the things that Timothy, the main character, this Homeland officer that was rescuing the children, him and another guy, I can't remember his name, I think it's Vampiro, and a couple of other people within Colombia, like a law enforcement person and somebody who just liked to help out on stings. One of the things that they did do was to set up a sting operation with the child traffickers. They were still trying to find this girl, and basically they set up that they wanted to open up a members only club on an island. And you know, the guy that got involved with the stings, you know, he was credible enough for people to believe that this is the type of thing that he would do, even though he was not into anything like that, that he would want to build a hotel or whatever. And you could see the child traffickers salivating at getting 100 grand each, you know, for providing the children. Because, you know, this main officer, Timothy, was saying, you know, we need 50, 60 kids for you to bring to this island. You know, the members are going to pay 100,000 a year each to be part of this club. And this club would be, you know, that they could have access to children, basically a paedophiles club. And, you know, the fools that they are, these child traffickers, the evil people that they are, you know, were salivating at the fact of just getting the money. And they pulled it off, you know, they got them on the island, and then, you know, the rescue operation happened and they rescued 54 children. The girl wasn't amongst the 54, but later on, you know, they managed to locate her and she was rescued. There's so much more that happened to the film than that, but I just wanted to kind of share, you know, a little bit about what it's about, that the story did centre on this brother and sister, and then how it opens up into looking at the paedophiles, their network, how they operate, They're absolutely filthy and disgusting. But as I said, it highlighted paedophiles, and there are a lot of paedophiles in top organisations. You probably never hear a lot about them though, because they are protected by their other paedophilic friends. And it was really sad to see the children, the pain that they were in. They were doing things like tattooing the children as well. The people that were involved in the rescue, Special Agent Timothy, Vampiro, and the other people that were involved were all very, very courageous. They considered giving up their lives to rescue children. This Vampiro character actually was part of a drug cartel and did his time in prison, came out. He hired a prostitute, obviously coming out of prison, to come to his house, did the do with her, and he said he noticed on her toes she had like Hello Kitty like nail polish, and then he finds out that she's 14. She lied and said she was 25, and she said she's been doing this when she's about 6 years old, and he said it was then that this darkness came over him. And he said when she left, he went for his gun to put the 45 pistol to his head to shoot himself in the head, because he couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe that he had sex with a 14-year-old. But he said in that moment, you know, if there was a moment for him to die, it would have been that moment. But he felt that God had now given him a different path to follow, and that was to rescue these children. So that's what he was doing. He'd pretend to be a paedophile. Paedophiles felt very comfortable, the child traffickers, felt very comfortable bringing children to him to sell, and as soon as they sold the children to him, he would set them free. So very courageous man, besides, you know, the security of the special officer Timothy and the other people involved. One of the standout lines from this film for me was when the Homeland Officer Timothy said to the paedophile, "God's children is not for sale." The paedophile was sitting at the table with the Homeland Officer Timothy, because as I said at the beginning, you know, he spent all this time getting inside his head. He managed to win his trust, so he was obviously felt comfortable to tell him about more of his crimes. But really, you know, the officer Timothy was just setting him up. And when he handed him over that book with the picture of the little boy in it, you know, he said to him, "God's children is not for sale." And he also said to him this Bible scripture from Matthew 18:6. And this is what the Lord says: "If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a huge millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea." If you are a paedophile watching this, you need to understand and know that God will deal with you for what you are doing to children, what you are doing to traffic children, selling children for sex. For the survivors and victims like myself who were once children, where you paedophiles did what you did to us, God is not sleeping and he will deal with you. You may think it's all fine what you're doing now, but you are going to have to give account for every act that you've done against a child, because you are going to cause that child to stumble. You are going to cause that child to have a difficult life. I've gone through childhood sexual abuse myself, and it set me back 25 years from my life. And many others that are out there never get over what was done to them as a child. So that line to me in the movie was one of the most perfect lines, because, you know, it talks about there's going to be a day of judgment for those paedophiles for what they've done to children. So as I finish up, I just want to say, if you can still see this film in the UK, I would encourage you to go and see it. Now, it is going to be difficult for people who probably may be on their journey to still healing from sexual abuse or going through their own journey, because of the nature of the topic. It was definitely a hard watch for me. There were points in the film where I really felt very emotional. But, you know, it is one of those films, like the subject of childhood sexual abuse, that we need to be open about. We need to talk about this. The longer it is buried under the rug, the longer people think it's not really real. I mean, I've seen, you know, newspaper critics critique this film and say it's very manipulative. But how many times do you ever see them report on this? I never see them really report on child sexual abuse and child trafficking. So that tells me right there that there is a problem. It's all fair well you saying that, you know, it doesn't really happen, but you don't report on it. You don't really bring it to the forefront. This is going on. This is a real industry. You know, people have been trying to talk about it for a long time. Ali Carter being one of them. You know, I did a video on her on this channel again the other day. She was in the news. talking about it, that child sex trafficking is real. She was trafficked in foster care, and a lot of children go missing in foster care, not just in the poorer countries where their parents might sell them to child sex traffickers, or they're snatched off the streets. Children in foster care, children in vulnerable situations are going missing, and nobody knows where they are, and nobody cares to look, because they're poor, they're vulnerable, they've got a lot going on, whatever, you know, or there isn't the resources to look. This stuff is going on, and Ali Carter again brought it up that she was trafficked while she was in foster care, okay, and it was rich people who she was being sold to. May God have mercy on these people, because they are in for the shock of their lives when God deals with them. But go and see this film. It's a very good film if you can go and see it. Beautiful message by Jim Caviezel at the end, where he's just highlighting, you know, everything about the child sex trading industry. There was on their website where you can get free tickets. So if you can't afford it, I don't know if it's still up, but you know, he was saying that it was free tickets, or you can pay for somebody to go and see the film, or both. You know, he wanted people to just pay it forward and spread awareness about it, because you know, they've been up against so many challenges. You know, he was just encouraging people to do whatever they can to raise awareness about this going on, and I think that it inspired and motivated me to continue with my channel Daughter Arise, talking about childhood sexual abuse and all the different things that come out, and also my work with Daughter Arise, and to continue to support survivors, because you know, we don't stay children forever, and you know, we end up growing up, and for some of us, for many of us, you know, it can be a very difficult journey to finding life again after childhood sexual abuse. So that's what I wanted to share with you in this video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.